Hey, what's going on guys, it's CLZ and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. And today we're talking about how streaming services have become an absolute hellhole for the consumer. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and yeah, let's get into it. Now before I can talk about the current state of streaming services, let's go into the history of streaming and how it came to be the most popular way of watching media. So as many of you know, before streaming there was cable, and you would have access to a variety of different channels that would play a variety of different content. And in between the shows that you were watching, or during the shows and movies you were watching, there would be commercials or ads playing. And this was pretty much the de facto way of watching shows and movies at home, other than the VHS and DVD player. And cable really dominated the industry from the 70s to the early 2000s. But cable had some glaring issues, like for example, price. It would cost 80 to 90 bucks per month just to have cable, and sometimes $140 per month. Now with this high price tag, you have tons of channels, and different packages range on how many channels you get, but the average is about 189 channels to 208 channels. And that's a lot of content to watch, lots of channels to, watch different shows, but most people are only watching about 10 of those channels. And I have a statistic that sums up my points pretty well from Mountain Research, and it says the average US consumer pays about $1,600 annually for cable TV channels they don't watch. These audiences typically have access to 190 channels but only watch 15. So with cable, you're paying a lot and getting a lot, but most people are not using cable for everything it has, so they're not getting the full value out of what they're buying. And of course, cable is notorious for commercials and ads during TV and movies. I mean, it was so common back in the day with cable, where there'd be like a super big moment in the show and then cut to commercials for about 2-3 minutes, right? But these glaring problems of cable were not brought to the light until the early 2000s, with Netflix coming out in 2007 and Hulu coming out in 2008. And the way streaming did this is by not doing any of the things I listed about cable. It was a hell of a lot cheaper, it had no ads, and the content it had on it was more curated to its base and the people who actually watched their service. You were able to pay less for the things you actually wanted, and you didn't have to watch any of the annoying ads. It was a great deal, and a lot of people saw that, which led to them cutting the cable and getting basically full streaming. It came to the point where a lot of people I knew when I was a kid, they didn't have cable anymore, and then I didn't have cable anymore. I only had Netflix and Hulu and YouTube TV and things of that nature, where it was just streaming. And it only grew in popularity as people cut the cord to go over to streaming. I mean, it was just a no-brainer for a lot of people, as it gave more value for the money, and over time it just grew and grew and grew until it became one of the most popular ways of watching media. And recently in 2025, it officially surpassed cable and broadcasting, with 44.8% of viewership coming from streaming, while broadcast and cable together have only 44.2% of people tuning in to watch. So now that you get the history of streaming and how it came to be, you know how I talked about how the reason streaming became so popular is because it didn't do the things that cable did, like ads and making it really expensive and having a more curated content for the viewers? Well, let's just say that streaming now is doing all the things that cable is doing, or at least trying to do it, and it's ruining the experience for the consumer. So let's first talk about commercials and advertisements. Pretty much every single streaming service at this point now has advertisements and commercials in it. HBO Max, Prime, Netflix, Disney Plus have all added commercials to their streaming, which in my opinion is a complete slap in the face to what streaming used to be. I mean, if you told me 5 years ago that streaming like Netflix would have advertisements in the middle of TV shows or before TV shows, I'd tell you you're fucking crazy, because the whole thing of streaming to me was that you don't have to watch any ads. That's the beautiful part of it. You don't have to watch any advertisements. You click on what do you want to watch. I can't fucking talk today. And you get to watch it with no ads, no interruptions. That was the whole thing. Watch something with no interruptions. And now you have interruptions. And I don't think a single mainstream streaming service has not engaged in this behavior, so it's very unfortunate that we have to deal with ads now for most streams that we watch. And it's really funny because you subscribe to these streaming services, and for a long time, subscribing was synonymous with no ads. That's why you subscribed. You didn't have to deal with ads, and you could just watch it. So it's kind of funny how that word basically has no value now of subscribing to something. And on that point of ads, let's talk about the price of these streaming services. And there are two big factors that are leading into the cost of streaming services getting more expensive. Number one, the prices are just simply going up. I mean, Netflix has gone up over the years, HBO has gone up over the years, Disney Plus has gotten more expensive, and over the years the price has just been bumped up over time. And the way they've justified that as these big companies is by also using ads. They bump up the price of the non-ad subscription plan because, well, you're getting no ads. You gotta pay more for that, right? You're not getting out here scot-free, buddy. We're gonna fuck you somehow. So you get random price hikes from these companies, but you also have to pay more now for something that used to be the normal subscription, the standard subscription. But because these companies added the ad subscription tier, well, now you gotta pay more for what used to be the standard. Awesome, right? But number two, it's also getting more expensive because of the amount of streaming services just out there right now. I mean, you have Disney Plus, Peacock, AMC Plus, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max. There's more I'm probably not even listing right now. Apple TV, ESPN Plus, Prime. There are just so many streaming services out there right now, and what this causes is for all of this content that used to be concentrated in a few streaming services is now spread out across all of these different streaming services. To put in perspective, back in the day, you could watch all on Netflix, Mad Men, Family Guy, and The Office, all in one place, all on Netflix. Now, The Office is on Peacock, Mad Men's on AMC Plus, and Family Guy's on Hulu. So if you still wanted to watch all of those shows, you'd have to front the bill of 3 other streaming services just so you can watch all of the shows you want to watch. And all those streaming plans together, including Netflix, would cost you about $57.96 per month. And look, the price isn't as bad as cable costs, and the advertisements aren't nearly as annoying and bad as cable, but it's starting to get there and it's moving that direction, and the consumer overall wide scale is not liking this change. And that includes myself, because what made me really mad about the situation of streaming is when I heard the news of South Park being moved permanently to Paramount Plus, and it streams there now exclusively. Before, South Park used to be on HBO Max, but now it is basically only on Paramount Plus. That means if I wanted to sit on my bed and watch some South Park, I would have to go and get a Paramount Plus subscription just to watch South Park. Now, I know there's other things on Paramount Plus, but I don't really care about anything else they have on there. I just want to watch South Park, which means I have to pay $7.99 a month or $12.99 a month for Paramount Plus for its whole library of content when I just want to watch South Park. Sounds a bit familiar to cable, does it not? So to sum it up, you need more subscriptions to watch shows that you used to be able to find all in one place, all under one subscription. The prices of subscriptions are getting more expensive, and even when you subscribe, you still have to watch ads. I mean, overall, streaming is getting worse and worse for the consumer, and that's why pirating is getting a lot bigger than what it used to be. According to The Guardian, piracy reached its biggest low in 2020 with only 130 billion website visits. But in 2024, after all the negative changes happened to streaming services, 216 billion people turned to piracy. And look, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty certain that the reason a lot of people switched to piracy in the year 2024 is because of the bad changes that happened with streaming services. And of course, it's not like I pirated stuff when I saw my favorite shows going into streaming services I didn't own. Of course, I didn't pirate South Park when it went over to Paramount Plus so I could watch the new episodes. I would never do that. I would not do that. And if you do that, man, you're a bad person, dude. I can't believe you'd ever do that. But that's about it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Let me know how you feel about streaming and if you've been being bad and pirating or not in the comments down below. Let me know. And I'll see you guys later. Peace, peace.